It is the Wednesday edition of Studio 12 coming to you from the south end zone of Kyle Field, presented by Alpha Graphics. Matt and Will with you here. A very busy week, Texas A&M Athletics, and we're going to kick it off with our head soccer coach, G. Guerreri. Aggies, yet another NCAA tournament. Ho-hum.
Pretty cool, huh? Yeah.
Is that even an accomplishment anymore?
I saw
It always is.
I saw a graphic. I'll give it, I guess, a shout out to it. CS360 is it's not College Station, it's College Soccer 360, which you can follow on Twitter. They had an interesting graphic on how many teams from last year's NCAA tournament are not in this year's field, and it's quite a few.
It's supposed to be an insane number, isn't it?
It's like 25.
Wow.
25 teams that were in last year are not in the field of 64. And it might have been more, but like here in the state of Texas, only 3 teams made it this year. You had Texas Tech, you had North Texas, so Big 12. Big 12 only had 2 teams make the NCAA tournament. Conference USA only had 1, and then the Aggies from the SEC. So that's it for the whole state of Texas. So, that's a pretty good accomplishment with as young a side as we have, and 21 in a row is always something we're proud of.
That's the number that I wanted to ask you about. The Aggies are hosting Washington in first-round action Friday night, 7 o'clock at Ellis Field, and we'll get to the details on that in just a sec. But your program has been so successful. There are expectations internally and obviously externally as well. Doesn't make getting to the tournament any easier. Do you step back at some point this week? You're in the tournament. You knew you were in the tournament before you went to Orange Beach, but wow, 21 in a row. I mean, do you ever step back and think about that number? That's just mind-boggling to me.
No, I mean, just the only thing we were talking the other day about how that half the team, or more than half the team, probably 3/4 of the team wasn't born when we first made our first NCAA tournament in 1995. So that's kind of a head shaker type of.
You were
situation.
coaching the game. I was at the game, so I guess that.
Yeah, I remember. I remember. I remember so many games, obviously, which is good.
Yeah.
But that game in '95 against Clemson, and and we ended up winning it pretty big. I remember a lot of things that were kind of new. We didn't even have lights at the time, so we had to play that game in the afternoon. And I remember our groundskeeper at the time had painted an NCAA logo on the kind of about where the SEC logo would be right now, but it was really small. Again, didn't have much experience in putting these things on. And Yvette Oakler had the ball, and she took off on a break with the ball, and she saw the logo. And she wasn't used to having a logo on the field, so she pushed the ball and she jumped over the logo, she's hurdled it. And after the game, I go, what was that all about? She goes, I thought it was a manhole cover. I was like, on the field. I go, what kind of fields did you grow up playing on? And she goes, I don't know. It happened really fast. I go, okay, well, good for you. good that you didn't fall into the Wile E. Coyote manhole cover.
Hell, on that first field, there very well could have been manhole
There
cover.
probably was a couple manhole covers. That's right. So, I mean, and then over the years, it's been a lot of fun, and playing at home on Friday night is something that we're all really excited about. Getting a chance to come back to Ellis and play in front of the 12th man. And I know there's a lot of things going on in town on Friday night, but and even right across the street from us with Reed Arena, you've got men's and women's basketball. But they're going to blow those teams out, so you can come to. You can go to the basketball game for a little bit. It'll be over soon, and then come on over. It's free for students to come to our game. Just kind of come in, help us out, because our game against the University of Washington is a tough game. It's one of the toughest games in the entire first round of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting because we see you guys host so often, first, second rounds, things like that, and I just always expect.
Usually it's a Southland Conference team.
Yeah, a mid-major, that so-called mid-major is the opponent. That doesn't mean to slight the opponent. If they're in the NCAA tournament, they're capable.
Right.
But all of a sudden, this is, I guess in today's terms of college athletics, this is Power 5.
You bet.
You're coming in here.
You bet. And with soccer, the Pac-12 is notorious for having some of the best players, the best teams, best coaches in the country, and UW fits into, you can check every box on that for UW. So it's a really tough game, but it's a game that is you got two teams that are going to want to try to play. It should be a really attractive game. It's not like when Arizona came in here last year in the second round, the third round. What was that second round? Second round.
Yeah, some of those.
Arizona is a really direct, physical team. UW is a little bit more like us. They're based on attack. There's a lot of tempo to the way that they play. So it should be a very attractive game.
G. Guerrero with us here, head soccer coach, A&M Washington, first round NCAA Friday night at Ellis Field. And I want to ask you sort of about the growth of your team, and maybe more mentally than anything else. As you knew coming into the year, you had a very talented team, but a very young team. Couple of weekends here and there where maybe that youth showed up, but then you get to the end of the season and you guys go get a nice result at Missouri, and then you go into that SEC tournament and really just roll through it, and you were a goal away from taking another trophy home. I mean, talk about maybe the lessons that the kids learned early in the season that they could translate into what's now a one-and-done situation for you.
Well, I think going to the SEC tournament was really helpful for us for this game and this tournament for the NCAAs and a run towards the College Cup again, because every game we had played up until we played Ole Miss in the quarterfinals of the SEC tournament, every game had been a first-time experience for these guys. And so, when we played Ole Miss here and lost to them 4-3 in a kind of a bad weather, crazy game that Ole Miss finished, they had 4 shots and scored 4 goals. And it was a coulda, shoulda for us. So 10 days later, we go and we play them in Orange Beach. They're the number 3 seed, and our players, all of a sudden, they knew what to expect. They had been there, they had experienced that. And they took it to them, and they beat Ole Miss 2-0, and it could have been a lot worse than that. And it was a really nice aha moment for a lot of those players. Like, okay, now we know what's going on, and to win the semifinal, to get to the final against Florida, who's number 5 in the country, and really have the better of play, the better chances for that game is great. Unfortunately, we lost on 2 really good moments by them. They found a way to get it done, and as they were doing the introductions in the championship game, they introduced our team. So it started out with number 1, freshman, number 2, freshman, number 3, our captain, senior, number 4, freshman, number 6, freshman. It was like going, oh my goodness! You look at it, and so we had, and then they got to go through one of our older players, and number 10, a sophomore, and so it just it really brought to attention to me, especially on like, wow, okay, this is we've come a long way. We really have. And then they announced the Florida team, and it was senior, junior, junior, senior, senior, junior, and and I was really proud of our players. I thought they did a great job. Really proud of not just the freshman class, but all of them, because they've come a long way. Even our older players, many of them were in supporting roles, and they've had to step up into leadership roles this year, and that's a lot easier said than done, and they've done a good job with it.
And can it be a concern? We talk about 21 straight NCAA tournaments for the Aggies, but doesn't matter a whole lot to a freshman because they'll play their first NCAA tournament game. Is this when player leadership can be big? Someone who's experienced it before, firsthand telling a younger player, just keep it business as usual, or here's what
probably
to expect,
it's probably
like
a trust issue, because they've been saying that to these guys every game already. I mean, because like I said, the good news about the SEC tournament for us is that they've been in this, and whatever their motivation was, maybe their motivation last week was, if you win, we get to stay at the beach for 2 more days. Or, one of the players the night before the championship game was like going, hey, we came in here as a total underdog, and here it is. We can win a ring. We can win a championship trophy tomorrow. Let's get on this thing. And, whatever the aha moment is for the players, I think that they got that in the win or go home ideas from last week in Orange Beach. So I'm confident that they'll come into this game on Friday night comfortable, because we're playing at home, but also pretty excited and pretty motivated to stay in this thing as long as we possibly can.
Yeah. And the home field advantage, as you said, 7:00 at Ellis Field on Friday night. Students get in free. Aggie students with ID.
Well, actually, that's
all students. Actually,
all students.
Yeah.
So UW
students,
if they want to come down,
yeah.
they can come in. Blinn students, just show your college ID, and you get in for free. And the Maroon Militia, which is the group that's, you've got the Reed Rowdies, you've got the Maroon Militia at Aggie soccer games. They stand right in front of the press box right on the 50-yard line. So, really invite people to come out and be a part of what they do. You've got the Section 9 guys, which are the former students. They tend to congregate around behind the other team's bench on the west side. But it's going to be a great night. We're going to get some bad weather today. Later on, that's going to clear out, and it's going to make Friday an absolute great day.
For the coaches, I know it's extra stressful, but for the fans, I think this is a fascinating and fun matchup because, you look back a few years ago, and this is no slight to either program, but this could have easily been an Elite Eight matchup. Washington has a lot of soccer history. You guys also are one of the top 5 or 6 programs in the country as far as history. This is a real treat for fans to have a team like Washington come down. And then I saw a quote from their head coach that was, they've played down here before,
right.
And she specifically mentioned the awesome atmosphere, and so I know that's got to make you feel proud of what you guys have built down here.
Right. I mean, Ellis Field and Texas A&M specifically have got a pretty cool reputation around the country, and it makes it to where teams are they're excited about what they're going to be a part of. Sometimes not always excited about the actual game itself, but it's a deal where they get to come down and they get to be a part of a game that is bigger than their players ever get to experience at their own park, and that's kind of a neat thing. And like I said, I mean, UW has got a very, very good soccer tradition. Leslie Gallimore, who is their coach, she's been with them for 22 years. She's a good friend, and she was recently named to the Pac-12 All-Century team for her when she was a player back at Cal in the day. Her associate head coach is Amy Griffin, who's formerly Amy Allman, who was one of the goalkeepers on the initial USA World Championship team back in '91. And there's been some issues out on the public about the dangers of the potential dangers, and people are looking at the issues of artificial turf fill and cancer with kids and stuff like that. And Amy was one of the people that kind of brought that to people's attention initially on the number of young goalkeepers, which are kind of experiencing some issues with that. And of course, science will take a while to really judge it. But these are just to highlight, these are kind of leaders and shakers in the soccer world. So it's neat to have them back on campus. We've had them here before. When Hope Solo played for them, they were here. It was a big win for us to beat them here. We played them here in I think 2009 or 2008 in the second round of the NCAA tournament, and so they've always been great games, and I really anticipate this one being another one.
Well, it's always that fun time of year, and it's bigger than a season opener, bigger than a conference opener, bigger than round 1 of the conference tournament. This is where it counts, and you guys made the great run last year, and we certainly wish you all the best in another one this season, starting right here at home on Friday.
Thank you. And again, really, those of you who haven't had a chance to get out, you've been saying, hey, you guys are doing so well, I want to get out and see you guys. Well, this is it. Yep. This is the last probable home game that we're going to have this particular year. So if you want to come out and see what this team is all about, see how this team represents our community in Texas A&M, this is the time. And if you're a student, it's free. There's no excuses. It's going to be a beautiful night. And I really appreciate you guys having me on. I'm looking forward to seeing a big crowd out there at Ellis Field. That's Friday at 7 o'clock.
G. Guerreri, our head soccer coach. Go log on to 12thman.com for all the information on this game. Again, as he said, 7 o'clock Friday night, Texas A&M and Washington NCAA first-round action. We are back with more Studio 12 in just a bit here on Sports Radio 1150 and The Zone 102.7 FM.